Hi, welcome to Bloodborne. This is the V Games channel. This is VODs, and I wanted to start out by playing my favorite game, which is Bloodborne. Um, and I wanted to start a series kind of explaining mechanics of the game, uh, things that help beginners start off on the right foot. This is nothing for people who are inexperienced with the game. It might bore you, but this is for people who have just started. I know people are still buying this game, or they put it down and are going to pick it back up after 3 or 4 years or something. This is something for them to get into the game, understand what scaling does, what blood gems do, what runes are, how to approach enemies. So that's kind of the idea behind this series. Because I remember my first game like this was Dark Souls 1, and I remember just being lost, not knowing where to go, what to do, how scaling works, how to level up weapons, etc. So I thought I would do a series to help people just trying to get through the game. Not necessarily PvP or become an expert, but just get through the game. So we'll start offline. I will go through creating a character, but these are some of the characters I have right now. None of these characters I had when I first started the game. I've gone through at least 20 characters, I'd say. And see this one here at the very bottom, Vittoria, which is Italian for victory. I've put in 210 hours with that one, 61, 82, 24, 11, 20, and I'm guessing I put in a total of 1,000 hours in the game. But let's create a new character.
Oh, yeah. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
Okay. So we'll just name this character VODs after me. Its appearance. Now going through here, we can change its gender, male or female, age, the origin we'll get to, but the appearance, I have a couple loaded favorites that I almost always use. But we'll end up using, how about my Zeus-ish looking character. I like them. However, you can go through and you can change a lot of things here in the creation. Your voice. We'll give this guy an aged voice. Build. If you look to the right as you slide through, his body shape slightly changes. In this game, this doesn't add much to the look of your body. Scale adjustments with head, chest, they don't change very much. The thing you can do is skin colors, and you can make people look green or blue, black, white. You can change eyes to be huge or small, nose. You can make some goofy looking things, and also do role-playing type stuff if you want to create a character that's based on some sort of movie character that you like. You can end up doing that. But we're just going to keep this as is. Alright, so as far as our origin goes, but before we decide which one of these we want to do, if we look at the top right and scroll down, the stats change. And so that is the only thing that this class affects is your starting stats. If you look at the top right, level, all of them start level 10 with the exception of Waste of Skin. Starts at level 4. Blood Echoes, you can kind of just ignore that for right now. Vitality is how much health you have. 11, 14. So 14 would be the highest. Endurance is your stamina. How much can you swing your weapon or run or dodge? And then strength. When it comes to weapons, some of the weapons scale with strength. They'll have anywhere from no scaling to S scaling in strength. It goes no scaling, D scaling, or maybe even E. It might even be E. E, D, C, B, A, S. So some weapons will scale high, some scale low, not at all. Skill, the same thing. Strength weapons generally are bigger, maybe a little slower, do more damage in one hit. Skill weapons generally swing a little faster and don't do quite as much damage as strength weapons in a single hit. Then there's Blood Tinge. For someone starting out, Blood Tinge is basically what your gun is going to shoot, the damage your gun does, and we'll look at that later on. Arcane, it has the increases damage with fire, bolt, and arcane, and the hunter tools, but we'll get into that. Anyway, but one of the things is with a starting class, if you are new and you're not building a build, so to speak, you're not going to cap yourself out at level 100 or 90 or 200. I think you saw on one of my characters that I built, they were like 290 or something. I don't know. I've had characters over 300, and I had another character that was blood level 4. So if you don't care about having a character at a certain blood level, then it doesn't matter which starting class you choose, because you're just going to level up whatever stats you want whenever you want. So if that's your mentality, it doesn't matter. Just choose the one that you think sounds the best or whatever. Maybe challenge yourself a little more with Waste of Skin. It doesn't matter. But the reason people choose builds is because it allows you easier access to cooperation or online PvP. So if you eventually want to build this character and invade other characters in their worlds, then you would want to do a build, because it would cap you out at a certain blood level, and then you would be able to invade people in their worlds or cooperation if you want to help people. So that's the only reason. And I think the easiest class to start with for beginners is one that's a quality build. And a quality build is a blend between strength and skill. And so we would end up choosing the military veteran, because that gives you the most strength and skill. The other options is you could choose one with the most health or endurance. If you think you might struggle with staying alive, then you're going to want to choose maybe the lone survivor here, because it starts with 14 health, 11 endurance. Or if you want to be able to dodge a little more, swing a little more, you could do the Troubled Childhood, but you have a lot less health. Violent Past is pretty balanced there. But for me, in this video, we're going to do the military veteran and go with that one. And a cutscene. As soon as it goes. These loading screens sometimes take a while.
All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Ah, you found yourself a hunter.
Okay. So we begin. I don't really... I know a lot of people enjoy games, and one of the things they really enjoy is the lore of a game. That isn't as much interesting to me as it is the variety, the character creation, and being able to experience it in different ways and the way you experience it. So we'll go over, like here's our objective here. Seek pale blood to transcend the hunt. Well, if you would like to learn more about lore, you're probably going to have to find it on a different channel. Because I don't go over much of that. We may talk about it a little, but it's not my expertise, so to speak. But just quickly, just so we get our controls out of the way, if you want, you can come down here and click on all these notes. And these notes are going to have they're basically tutorial notes. So you can swing, and as far as hitting, if we had a weapon, we'd be swinging with the weapon with R1. It's a light, quick attack, whatever you want to call it. R2 is our strong attack, our heavy attack. And if you hold R2, we do a charged attack. Now, if we hold it all the way, we see that light shining. It means if we hit an enemy behind while doing that attack, it puts them into a stun. And after we do that, if you do a charged R2 and then an R1, you're going to end up doing what's called a visceral attack, which is kind of like well, that's a riposte, I guess, kind of like. L1 will transform your weapon. We don't have a weapon, but we'll show it when we get one. L2, if we have a gun, it's going to shoot the gun. Since we have a bare fist, it's going to punch. And there's other weapons too that L2 is used for. There's one that does fire and arcane, and we'll get to those eventually. So that's the R and L buttons. If you press R3, it will lock on, or if we're turned one way, it will face them to the way they're facing. But it will lock onto a character. There's one out here we'll do it with really quick. As far as weapon or the buttons on the D-pad, I guess it depends. Oh, this is PlayStation only. So circle is going to dodge. If you are locked onto a character, you're going to dodge. I'm sorry, circle is a roll. and if you're locked onto a character, you're going to dodge. Triangle is health. So we don't have any health potions right now, so we're not going to be able to do it. Square throws items. We'll get some items and show you. And X, as you saw, open the door. It activates things in the game. So here we are. We have an enemy sitting here. We can tell they're an enemy because they lock on and they have a health bar. So if we press circle, we're going to dodge. This is our dodge now. We don't have a weapon right now. If you would like, you can fight it. And one way that you can fight it is try and get behind it and backstab it. So you try and get behind it and do a charged attack, and then an R1. Do a visceral attack, and it will kill it. What we're going to do is just run out and just avoid it at all costs. So we're going to run. Hopefully it just forgets us. Open the door. It's staying behind, which is good. We're going to avoid the item. Go straight to this door really quick. Well, it's still following us. Let's see if we can dodge and get away from it. Alright, we're going to go left here real quick. Dodge. Avoid that guy. Alright, we want to activate this lever here. If the enemy's still around you, you can lure them away. I guess he's just going to stay over there. But we're going to hurry and go up here. Listen, there he is. Every time at the beginning of the game, you hear that scream. This is our lamppost. This takes us to our home base and will allow us to get a weapon. And all these transitional phases between areas, it has those items, descriptions and stuff, and after a while you read the same ones over and over, and they're not interesting. But here we are. This is called the Hunter's Dream. And the Hunter's Dream provides us with a couple different things. One is it's a safe place. There's no enemies here. We can wander around. If you want to test out some weapons to get used to them, this is a good place to do it. This is, let's see, we'll just come here. Okay, so we walk up these stairs, these messengers are to pop up, and we can accept a gift from messengers. And what it is it's our main weapons. We have an option of one of 3 to start out with. We get to choose one of them. Now, if we look, we can scroll down and up. If we look in the middle, there's physical attack. All of them do physical attack. And some of them do more than others. Like the Saw Spear does 90, plus its scaling damage is 8. So 90 is the base damage, 8 is the scaling damage. The Hunter Axe is 98 damage in base, and 9 in scaling. The Threaded Cane is 78 and 9. Now, above that, we see our blood gem slots, and we'll go over that at a later time when we can actually use them. But none of these have blood attack, arcane fire, or bolt for now. Depending on the blood gems that we end up putting in it, it will adjust from either physical attack to, say, fire. So that's how you can change your damage in the game. If we hit square, you can see that under physical attack on the left, there's blunt and thrust. So your physical damage can be subdivided into those categories. The saw cleaver, as you can see, it has a line on blunt and thrust instead of 8 on physical, which means it does not have a blunt damage or a thrust damage. The Hunter Axe, I scrolled down, It does. It has blunt damage. So some blood gems in the game say blunt damage, so you can increase that. The threaded cane does not have blunt damage, but it has thrust damage in some movesets. So that's how you can increase different types of damages as well. Also, Square also can change to the weapon description. But now that we've gone through the different damages there, if we scroll down in the middle a little more, we're going to get to QS bullet use. Some weapons, when you use some of the moveset, use Quicksilver Bullet, which I'll show you on the screen in just a minute. Its durability for each of these weapons. Saw Cleaver is 200 out of 200, with 250 out of 250 for the axe and 200 out of 200 for the threaded cane. So the durability, as you use the weapon, the durability goes down. It does not reset with dying or going to the Hunter's Dream. You have to do one of two things. Either you can repair the weapon, and I'll go over that, or you can level the weapon up. Once you level a weapon up, it resets its durability to 100%. As far as special attacks go, the left one is poison. None of these weapons inflict poison damage. None of them inflict rapid poison, which is the next one. They're both at 0. The next one is damage against kin. So right now we're at our regular damage against kin. 100 is the base standard damage when you fight an enemy that is kin. You can get blood gems, and the blood gems affect whether that increases it or decreases it. And the one to the right of kin is beasts. Beasts right now is 100 on all three of these as well. Like I said, every weapon is going to be like that. It's just the blood gems that affect whether your damage increases or decreases against those two types of enemies, or if it adds poison or rapid poison as well. Now, one thing to take into account is the Hunter Axe, its base damage and its scaling, right, and its scaling damage, I should say, is the highest of the three of them. That doesn't mean it's the best weapon for you. The best weapon for you is the one that you use the best, the one you're most adept at. Which, my guess is, for most people, it's going to be the Saw Cleaver. Because it's very simple. The weapon moveset is faster, and it actually has a nice weapon moveset. The other thing to take into account is some weapons have what's called serrated damage. And those weapons do additional percentage damage to beasts. The Saw Cleaver, in its regular state, does serrated damage, and the threaded cane, in its transformed state, does serrated damage. So a lot of the enemies at the beginning of the game especially are beasts, and so you do additional damage. I believe it's 30%. It might be 20, but I believe it's 30%. So we're going to go with the Saw Cleaver. Well, and let me continue on actually. Below the special attacks with the poison and the kin damage, etc., is attribute bonus. Now the left one is called strength. You see the arm that's flexing is strength. Let's see, I was hoping we could toggle and actually click on it. But it's strength, and so this has a D-scaling in strength. The Hunter's Axe has a D-scaling in strength, and the Threaded Cane has an E-scaling in strength. The one after that is skill, which the Saw Cleaver has an E, the Hunter Axe has an E, and the Threaded Cane has a C. So, if you want to do a skill build, Threaded Cane is a good one to start off with. None of these do blood damage. As you can see, the next one after skill is blood damage. There's a line through it. It doesn't do... that type of damage does not exist with these weapons. Arcane scaling is the next one, and all three of them start with D. But as of right now, we only do physical damage. So if we were to add blood gems that were arcane, such as fire, bolt, or arcane blood gems, then that is the scaling that these weapons would get. One thing to take into account is that as you level up the weapon to a +1, +2, all the way to a +10, which is the highest, the scaling increases on some of them. So I think in the end, the saw cleaver ends up with a C in strength and a D in skill. And the hunter's axe also increases. I don't remember what it goes to in strength or skill and arcane. This is the one that gets used so much. The threaded cane also increases. You either end up with a B or an A in skill. But the arcane also increases in them. So you'll have to look at that. You can go online to see what exactly the scaling will be once you have a +10 weapon in whichever category you want to focus on. So below attribute bonus, we have attribute requirement. So in order to even equip the weapon, for the saw cleaver we need 8 strength and 7 skill. Well, we have that. We have 14 strength and 14 skill. The hunter's axe, 9 and 8, and the threaded cane, 7 and 9. You can equip all of these at the start. So we're going to go with the saw cleaver. And now we're going to come to our left-handed weapon, our gun. Now these do blood attack. As you can see, they're blood damage. The hunter pistol, if you look in the middle, is 70, and then the scaling damage is +1, so a total of 71. The blunderbuss is 20 and 0. Now you think the obvious choice is the hunter pistol, but they're different types of weapons. They have different uses that you can do. The hunter pistol, it shoots a little faster. It uses one bullet like a pistol, and you can shoot it at an enemy, and it will do more damage, as you can see, 71 to 20, and C, it shoots a little further than the hunter blunderbuss. So those are two advantages of that. The hunter blunderbuss has more of a shotgun spread, so you can affect more enemies, and it has more of a stagger effect as well. So depending on what you want to do, that's what these weapons do. I prefer the hunter pistol because it shoots faster, and sometimes there's some enemies I like to parry. Parrying, what you do with this, it's what you do with one of the things I should say you do with the hunter pistols and blunderbuss, the firearms. But you can look down at the scaling. Both of them have a D in scaling and blood tinge, and they have the same attribute requirements. So we're going to go with the hunter pistol, and we're going to come up whenever you see something like this as an item, and it's going to be our notebook. So we can write notes, and we can see, if we've written a note, we can see the history of the notes we've written. Before we move on and go and talk to him in the wheelchair, we're going to equip our weapons. So if we hit the options button and come down here, these left two are for our right-handed weapon, and these right two are for our left-handed weapon. We can carry 2 of each at a time. Or equip, I should say. We can equip 2 of each at a time. So we'll equip the saw cleaver and the hunter pistol. Now, one other thing while we're in here is this is our inventory. If we click it, right now we just have the hunter's mark in a notebook. The hunter's mark If we are in a level and we just want to get out, go somewhere, then we can use it. It'll take us back to the last lamp that we were at, but we lose all of our blood echoes. And we'll go over blood echoes in just a moment. Here's our notebook. We don't have any materials. We have our 1 and 2 weapons. These are the, this is our attire. So we don't have much as far as inventory right now. Here's our stats. So on the left, we've kind of already gone over that. Our level's 10. We'll go over insight here in just a moment. But we have our vitality, endurance, strength, etc. If we go to the middle column, we can see actually how much health we do have. Our HP, we have 573. If we were damaged, we could see how much we were missing. Our stamina is 91. Discovery is 100. Discovery increases our chances of an enemy dropping an item. So as we go through the game, enemies drop items such as blood vials or quicksilver bullets. And there's lots of other items they can drop as well, but those are some of the most common ones. And our discovery increases the chances of that. And unfortunately, I think it was kind of a mistake in this game. Discovery is directly tied to arcane. So as you increase arcane, discovery also increases. And the only way to increase discovery outside of increasing arcane is, if you look at the top right, we have Carol rune effects. There are 3 Carol runes that we can end up getting to increase our discovery. And we can't equip those now. We don't have any right now, but later on in the game we will. And we can see, if we go back to the column in the middle, our right-handed R1 weapon attack is 98. Our L-handed weapon 1 attack is 71. So damage. Below that is our defenses. And these are our defenses with just our stats. So we're level 10, and our physical defense is 10. Our poison resistance is 95. Rapid poison is 86. Frenzy is, and we'll go over those later on in the game when we encounter them. But those stats are just based on your actual physical attributes. Because if we look on the right, in the right column under damage reduction, we see physical. And that's different from the physical defense in the middle column. The physical on the right takes into account our attire. Our attire gives us physical defense against blunt, thrust, or your general physical defense, as well as blood, arcane, fire, and bolt. So that's the damage reduction just from the attire, and the other one is from our attributes. Okay, let's see here. Down here, when we get items, we can equip them, and we'll go through that later on. As we see here, say we pull up the garb here, under physical defense at the top middle, it's 60. So that adds into our total physical defense reduction of 142. And all of the items of clothing have that. Now if we look at the top left, the red bar is our health bar. And like I said, it's level, what is it, level 10? Yeah, level 10, 573. Our stamina bar is the green one below it, at 91. And then below that there's 2 boxes. A red one with an item that looks red in it, and another one that looks, it's blue. But the red one is our blood vials. Those are our healing potions. And you use those by pressing triangle. It fills roughly about 33, is it 33 or 40%? Something along those lines, 35-40% of your health. So as your health increases, so does the effectiveness of your blood vials. It's not a set 200 HP that it increases. It's a percentage. I forget what it is. I can find out and let you know in the next video. But below that is our Quicksilver bullets. And we ended up with 10 already. And that's because if you come to the Hunter's Dream here without any, it just automatically gives you 10. Don't know why, but it does. On the top right, we have our Blood Echoes, and that's the currency in the game. We can use that to either level up or purchase items from these bath messengers. So we can buy blood vials, echoes, molotovs, pebbles, whatever. It uses that currency. So now that we see the Molotov cocktails, if you look at these items here, like the Molotov cocktail and the pebble, they have attribute bonuses as well. If you look in the middle column. So we don't have any. If you look at the top, we have number held 0. We don't have any stored. Doesn't use any Quicksilver bullets. That's the QS bullet. And then the attribute bonus, which is our scaling, it gets a D in strength and an A in arcane. And it doesn't have any requirements. Pebbles, A in strength, D in skill, no requirements. Pebbles are used more to attract enemies. If there's a group of enemies and you want to fight them one at a time, then you can use a pebble. It throws at them, it'll do like 3 damage. It doesn't do a lot, it just lures them over to you so that you can fight them one at a time instead of fighting 4 or 5 or however many enemies at a time to increase your chances of not being injured or dying. Molotovs, they do damage, but you do need arcane. You don't need arcane in order to use them, but arcane does increase the damage. Okay. So, this here is actually the doll that we use to level up. But the requirement is that we have 1 insight. We don't have any insight right now. So what we're going to do is on the next video is we're going to gain an insight or 2. And we're going to level up our weapon and our character. And that way we'll be ready for the boss. You can fight the boss without leveling up your attributes or your weapon, but I prefer to do the most effective tactic available, which to me is leveling up before you fight the boss. It increases your damage. You can increase your health, stamina through the attributes, or increase your damage through the attributes. Now this character is kind of our guide in the Hunter's Dream, and we'll just go ahead and talk to him.
Aha! You must be the new hunter. Welcome to the Hunter's Dream. This will be your home for now. I am Gairman, friend to you hunters. You're sure to be in a fine haze about now, but don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts. It's for your own good. You know, it's just what hunters do. You'll get used to it. This was once a safe haven for hunters. A workshop where hunters used blood to enhance their weapons and flesh. We don't have as many tools as we once did, but you're welcome to use whatever you find. Even the doll, should it please you.
It's kind of a little creepy right there.
This was once a workshop. You're welcome, even the doll.
Okay, so he tells us to kill beasts, and in this workshop, there's tools that we can use, which we will get here, and to speak to the doll, should it please us, and that will help us as well. She's down there. But for now, I think we're going to end the video. And in the next one, I hope we'll get through it quick enough that we can level up our weapon and our character. But we might just get to another spot, because I want to go through how I like to go through the level, because it covers all the areas, and to me it just seems the most logical sequence. Other people might not think so, which is fine. You can play the game however you want, but this is the most effective way that I find as far as going through all the enemies, approaching them, and what the best tactic is for me. So we'll go through it. We're going to go through it maybe a little slower than some people, but we're going to get through it, and we'll kind of go through all those things of unlocking shortcuts, the best way to approach enemies, etc. So see you later.